If you've gone shopping for your Thanksgiving meal this year, you know it's going to be more expensive to feed the family this year. In this week's in-depth conversation, moderator Susan Goodell gets some advice from the experts on how to stretch your food budget dollar during the holiday season.
Well, the price of a Thanksgiving meal in 2021, Rich, was 17.25% higher than it was in 2020. This year, expect to pay another 14% more over that 2021 price. Here to discuss all things food and money with me are our two guests. I'd like to introduce them to everyone right now. We have Sean Cummings, who is the owner of the Sean Cummings Irish Pub. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
And we have Rodney Holcomb, who is an agriculture economics professor at Oklahoma State University.
Pleasure to be here.
Thanks for being with us. All right, Rodney, we're going to start with you first. What are some of the most popular items that folks can expect to see in price? Because this weekend, it is going to be crazy at all the grocery stores.
True. Some of the biggest changes you're going to see in price is turkey, of course. That's a big one, and that's for a variety of reasons. Depending on which data source you use, turkey prices compared to last year are up anywhere from 20 to 40%. And you're probably looking at 35 to 40 is the most likely difference in price. And a lot of that comes back to issue with avian flu. We lost a lot of flocks. I don't think we're going to run out of birds. I think we'll definitely have enough birds to get through Thanksgiving. However, looking for the variety, the size of bird that you want, prepared, ready to go the way that you want, that may be a little more challenging. You may not have as many options, and as a result, to get exactly what you want, you're going to have to search for it, and you're probably going to, well, you're definitely going to pay more for it.
Yeah, we're going to pay more. And there are some other items, Sean,
Yes.
That are going up in price. We've got eggs. We keep hearing about eggs, 32 to 43% more. Butter went up 26.7% more. Does this actually make an impact on the grocery bill and how much it costs to celebrate or even just have a meal?
I think without a doubt, everybody gets $1 to death. It's not enough to make us not buy it, but it's enough to make us go, God, what are they doing? Eggs have almost doubled, I would say, in the past year, even from a wholesale perspective. But there's ways around this. So turkey's hard to come by.
Yeah.
There's an all-meat piece called a turkey tenderloin. Just ask your butcher for it. Literally, your butcher or the meat market, whichever one. You're not carving it. There's no bones you're paying for, anything else, all meat. And that way you can roast it. You're done in 40 minutes. Or, you don't have to pay the high price. You have the choice of going to pork or some other item. Just do something different.
So are there other items, meat items, that are cheaper than turkey or poultry right now?
Comparatively, pork has not seen the big increase in prices that we've seen in other animal protein sources. Beef has actually taken a 20+% drop if you're looking across all beef sectors. So you see a lot more people might be interested in a brisket this year. Now that seems like, oh, that's an amazingly large decrease in price compared to last year. But you have to remember, for the last 2 years, beef prices have been at record highs. So we're still getting a little bit of a break compared to turkeys, but it's a viable option.
Maybe we've acclimated to the higher beef prices, so it seems a little less painful, right? Now, you were talking earlier, Sean, about going to different stores, and like Aldi and Walmart, they've been advertising Thanksgiving items at last year's prices. What have you been seeing?
So here's the things that I would look at. Winco here in Oklahoma City. If you go spend $125, you get a free turkey, literally. If you go in there early in the day, 99 cents a pound. Those were deals. The higher price stores, the more glamorous, elaborate stores, you're going to pay more. But the cheaper ones, you can get deals. And the other thing I would tell you is go through your cabinets and see what you have around. Use it all up.
Well, I'm going to say, so this is kind of funny. So as I was doing my research, several items, everyone got less expensive, like fresh fruit fell 2.4%. Uncooked beef roast and hot dogs, breakfast sausage went down, and fresh donuts. So we can just have hot dogs and donuts.
There you go.
And actually save money this year. Wow. But what are things, John, I want to ask you that people can do when they're cooking something? Are there ways you can cook things? Rodney and I were talking, you got to have butter when you're cooking a Thanksgiving meal.
You got to have pounds of butter on Thanksgiving, because I rub turkey down with it and I lift up the skin and I put it underneath there before I put herbs in. What you can do is you can do chips and salsa. Price hasn't changed on making homemade chips and salsa. I mean, really, that's pretty cheap, and it's something the family can be involved in. Everybody likes chips and salsa. So, do some queso. Do something different and change it up with items that haven't gone through the roof is the easiest way around this. Any rice dishes. Rice really hasn't gone up. Even if it has, it'd be minuscule.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're monitoring, Rodney, the prices and the processes, and so you're really up to date, and you're teaching the students at OSU about this. What does the general buyer or shopper need to know? What can they go to maybe take a little bit of the sting out? It seems like a little bit, but like what Sean said, you're getting $1 to death, or maybe it's more $5, or I'll go and I'll shop and I'm like, man, I never used to pay this much when I would check out the grocery store. So what can we do not only for a holiday meal, but overall?
I think, well, Sean hit on part of it, and that is you start looking at some of the options. Yeah. What are your alternatives? What are things that I can substitute? And so for a lot of consumers, that's what they're going to do. They're going to find some items, not all of them. There are the traditional items that you have to have. Your family has them, your family has them, my family has them. There are things that you will have, even if it's higher price, you're going to say, I'll bite the bullet somewhere else. I'll cut expenses somewhere else just to make sure I've got the grocery budget to ensure that I have these handful of dishes on the table on Thanksgiving Day. Everything else, we'll find some options, we'll change some ingredients, we'll look at the alternatives. And the biggest thing is, like you said, shop around, see what you can find. The concept about the turkey tenderloin, it's a perfect idea that most people don't think about. We see a lot of very large tom birds. The hens are typically what you're going to see for the whole bird that people are going to buy and roast. The tom birds, they're very big. They're being pieced out, so your turkey bacon, turkey sausage, and all of that. But the turkey tenderloin, that's a cut that people can say, I don't need the whole bird, but I can get this tenderloin. It'll work for me, for my family, and I'll do that to shave a few dollars off.
I never even thought about that. My mother we'll just get a turkey breast, and I said, well, our kids like the drumstick. And so she bought the drumstick separately. Right. So there are ways to piece things together, I guess. I did want to ask you, and either one of you or both of you can answer this, is there a noticeable difference between value brand, generic brand items and name brand items? I've heard it both ways. It's like, the generic brand, they're made at the same place, they just charge less. So dispel the myth, both of you.
I'll give you my take on it. He can give you the production end because he knows this way better. Look at the canning. If it's a canned item or a bottled item and the bottle looks like another bottle, you know where it came from. If you like the original thing, like if you buy a plain label, something that looks exactly like something you usually buy, it probably came from there. It's called co-packing. So they buy it, they just do it under their own name. Am I accurate on that?
That's very close to correct. And I'll give you some insights into the worlds of an economist. Our famous answer for everything is 2 words. It depends. Right. So in a lot of cases, you will see that private label, that store brand, is either identical or very, very close to identical. So you don't see those big differences. And it is the brand image. There are studies, there's a myriad of studies about why people buy a specific brand when there is a lower cost item right next to it that is virtually identical. And you'll see that a lot with even commodity milk. You'll have 3 different brands of milk sitting next to each other on the store shelf. They probably came out of the same facility. And it's same day, same time, and about the only difference is the label on the container. But people will see that brand and they'll pay more for it. However, if you do want to save some money, start looking at some of those options.
Because I was convinced I had a few more stems or something in the generic item that I bought than normal, or a few more end pieces, but that may be psychosomatic because I'm like, I'm buying this generic, it's inferior.
You expect it to be.
Yeah, and it may come back to that, it depends, because some items are much closer, generic or store brand versus the big national brand versus others. And in some cases, you do see the quality standards lowered a little bit for things like green beans, because I've noticed some of the same things. You will see occasionally catch a few more stems. But for a lot of the food items, it's surprising how good the quality of a private label or store brand is.
And you put enough bacon in there, it doesn't matter.
And butter. And butter. We got to have that butter in there too.
Truth from the chef.
Right.
Here that we have, just add bacon and butter.
That's right.
And you're good to go.
Yep.
All right.
If it doesn't taste right,
prices are
try
more,
salt first.
That's it.
Okay, try salt.
I will. I'm going to use that. One thing I do want to talk about vegetables because we were talking ahead of time. Vegetables, especially raw vegetables, but the vegetable prices, some have gone up, and then in another area, vegetable prices have gone down. What are those areas?
Well, we see some of the prices have gone up, especially for frozen or canned.
Frozen, okay.
And a lot of that has to do with energy prices. Energy prices and employee prices. And as a chef, someone who owns an Irish pub, you've probably already seen this, it costs more to keep your employees working. They've got options. So we've seen wages rise. We've seen huge increase in energy prices. Go look at the price of diesel today and think of that truck that's delivering product from point A to point B.
Oh, yes.
So that's had a big impact. We see the same thing in fresh produce, that there's been an increase in the cost. And a lot of it is because all those inputs that are energy related, whether it's fuel or fertilizer, they've gone up. So we've seen some changes in some fruits and vegetables. But ironically, in other cases, we've seen some drops. And it may just be a shift in taste and preferences. This was the hot item last year. It's dropped off, but the producers didn't know it was going to drop off, so they grew a lot. And in economics, you call that the fallacy of composition. Everybody thought it was going to do one thing. Everybody thought the boat was leaning this way, so they leaned to the other, and that's where it happens.
So, and drought is the reason you were saying earlier, Rodney, that beef prices are lower because a lot of ranchers had to offload their cattle before they anticipated, right? And so there's going to be a lot of beef at the pub.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Hey, buy what's cheap right now. I mean, take advantage of the market. You do not have to pay a premium price.
From a restaurateur's point of view, Sean, has it been difficult in the past year? Have you had to increase your prices? Have you had to?
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because it's such a weird. Yeah, everything is weird. So I just had to buy a case of iceberg lettuce. I haven't bought one in 10 years because that's all there was.
Wow.
That's all there was. There was no romaine. There was no spring mix. There was nothing else.
Wow. And you get that wholesale. Wow. So we're going to come in and try see what magic you work with iceberg lettuce, I think.
You got to be nimble now.
Yeah. Okay. I wanted to say, lettuce has jumped 17.7%. Potatoes, there's going to be a lot of mashed potatoes happening. Those are up 15.2%. You've got bread and rice and coffee, up 14.8%. I still buy my coffee.
Yeah.
Of course.
That's not going away.
It's an essential.
Pie, everybody, I'm sorry, but pie has gone up 20.4%.
Right. But you can still get a nice apple or pumpkin pie for $9.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
still reasonable.
It all adds up. Do you guys see an end to this? Anything going back down, or will prices set at this rate?
I will tell you that potatoes have dropped in half. So they were up to $50 a bag, which is $1 a pound. They've dropped back down to 20. So, but I'm seeing it first, and then.
Are you seeing potatoes go down?
Yeah, down to 20, back to almost normal. 18 was normal.
Yeah.
20 is where we're at.
Woohoo! We're having mashed potatoes for Thanksgiving.
Right. But I don't know what we do with drought. I mean, we've got some legitimate issues with California produce from here on out, and we have to figure out some way to source it from somewhere else.
Some of these it's just a matter of annual supply differences. When you're talking food production, things that happen out in the field, on the farm, on the ranch, you're subject to Mother Nature. And so whatever happens, every year you're rolling the dice, hoping you're going to have a good year. And just so happened this year for a lot of folks, it wasn't a good year. So we'll see the supply chain may be totally different next year because we get a ton of rain. So not every year is a drought year, not every year is a 2019 flood year. So we'll kind of see where we're at next year. But also, I think a lot of things you see, prices tend to be, you can either refer to them as sticky downward or sticky upward. They either go up and then they don't go back down, or they stay at one price and it's really hard to get the price increased. The last couple of years, because of COVID, because of huge spikes in fuel prices and just energy prices overall, you've seen some prices that may have stayed very close to the same for years. Now they've made that adjustment up, and they're accounting for inflation, they're accounting for energy prices, and they may not come back down. Or if they do, they'll be very slow to move back down.
Okay.
Kind of got to roll with it.
So Thanksgiving, and this will stand for Christmas. I don't see much of a change happening between Thanksgiving and Christmas for the prices, right? Everything's going to be about the same. So what about ordering from a restaurant, your meal from a restaurant and taking it home? Is there going to be a price increase in that, do you think, Sean? Do all you restaurant owners get together and discuss these things? What do you do?
None of us have enough employees, and none of us have seen each other for 3 years. We just work. Look, our prices in general are probably up 15 to 20%. You know, we eat it for a while, and then eventually you just got to go, okay, it's got to go up, or there's no reason to show up to work tomorrow. And so, yeah, they're all going to be higher. It just depends on, you know, if, like, I can go find the bargains every day. Most other people can't do that. They can't take that time.
All right. Gentlemen, our time is up. I
All
want to
right.
thank both of you. This was really good information for me. I'm going to try
Thank
out
you.
those value brands again
Yep.
and try to take my mental state out of it. But I would like to thank both of you for your time.
Thank
Very well.
you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, and have a wonderful holiday. And Rich, back to you.